Hello everybody, I hope you're having a great time celebrating the life of a great man. Where am I off to, you might ask? Well, as they say, every man's life is a journey. So while you sit there enjoying good food and drink, and Nimi is right there on that hot seat, I'm going to take you on the journey so far of a man we've all come to love and admire. So come with me as we walk in the footsteps of no other man than Honorable Nimi Walson Jack. This is Port Harcourt, the city where Nimi's great-grandparents came from. Nimi is the younger generation of the Walson Jack, and this is where this story began.
And so, Nimi, we have gathered here today not just to celebrate and give tribute to 50 years of the life of a brother, colleague, parent, husband, and cherished friend, but just as much to review with you some of the highlights of the journey through life of a man who, despite the most humble beginnings, has been able to rise to a position of honor and profound relevance in a very challenging world. Of course, Nimi, you will instantly recognize this place. It is the small village called Oguta in what is now Imo State. It was here, not far from the now famous Oguta Lake Resort, that you were born precisely 50 years ago. Your parents were traders. Your mother was not only a trader businesswoman, but a nurse as well. It was here, along with your sisters and brothers, that you first saw life as an exciting adventure. Swimming, trapping crabs filled your days with the fun and excitement of a small African boy with the world ahead of him.
Nimi Walson Jack, like we are from the Riverman area. He was not born with a golden spoon. The Walson family never has anyone to look upon. At the time they get back to us, our parents were so poor. We came from a very poor background.
What I know about him is that he's a good boy, obedient boy. Whatever he asks him to do, he will do it without argument. He doesn't look for trouble. He's always up and doing. He widens his outlook.
Nimi Walson Jack. He attended primary school 1 here in Bori, and he was a very brilliant scholar who attended this school. Somebody who was very eloquent and very youthful.
What is the capital of Nigeria? Nimi?
My name is Nimi, and the capital of Nigeria is Lagos.
Clap for him.
I got to know Nimi through his biological mother, Caroline Walson Jack. She was my colleague when I worked in Bori General Hospital. We worked together. That was how I got to know her. Then there was this time I had nobody staying with me. We were staying in the nurses' quarters. So I walked up to her and said, please, give me one amongst your children. Then I just had my first child, who was that 2 or 2 plus. Nimi was a bit older than him. Somebody who can just come, stay with us, play with him when I'm at work. This is all I want him to do for me. I said, give me, somebody who is senior to him. She said, no, I should take him, that I'll get to like him. Well, I had to go with him. And he stayed with me, not quite a year, but he was too much. He was okay. As a little boy growing up. And he maintained it, just the way I saw him.
I was born and I heard how he, so to say, helped my mother, in taking care of me while I was quite a baby or quite small. I want to see him like a senior brother. over the years, you know, I have silently, though he is not aware, but I have taken him like a mentor, and I see him like my type of man, my dream man.
I remember I wasn't happy leaving my mother because apparently it turned out I was her favorite child. And then here was my uncle with his wife, and the accommodation wasn't as spacious as we have today. I remember very well, we had this egg, we call the orgaze. Today it's called the quail egg. Yeah. And the fun then was to buy one and use it to crack another. And somehow I was always either lucky or I was an expert. In those days, Bori was a happening place. It was, if you like it, a small town, but things worked. We gathered as a family. We lived in a 2-room apartment. That is, you had the front room, the back room, and then you had your toilet and your bedroom and kitchen at the back of the house, surrounded by a small garden. We lived on a street called Wikavari Street, which was just off Hospital Road.
Some of the interesting things me and I did when we were in primary and secondary school with our mom in Bori, we sold newspapers. We became vendors. Why? As young as we were, because we wanted to read all the papers. We wanted to be satisfied with news. We were not getting enough news. So we went to the Nigerian Tide office there in Bori, met the managers that wanted to be vendors. And he looked at 2 little children wanting to be vendors. He said, but your mom is doing very well. She's not lacking any money. We said, yeah, we want to get more knowledge, we want to read. And the man was marveled. He gave us the paper to go and sell. We sat down, read all the paper. By the time we stepped out and came in, we had finished the papers. We did that while on holidays.
Among your most cherished memories was a trip to Abonima, the place you were told was the ancestral home of the Walson Jack clan. At the time, Abonima was a fabled city compared to New York and even called York City.
Well, I went to Abonima, and as I said, in those days there was no bridge, no roads. We went through Abonima Wharf, where you had to enter into the boats. I had lived on the lake, as I said, by the lake. And here I was confronted with a river, a big river, with ships here and there, numerous boats. While on the Oguta Lake, we had hand-pulling canoes and one pontoon. Here we had all manner of boats with engines speeding off and coming back. And then, of course, as a kid, they had to be put in the middle of the boat in between elders. And we had, the boats then were wooden long boats, powered by some 275 horsepower engines. And the journey from Port Harcourt to Abonima took 4 hours.
Okay, let's now talk about your parents.
Well, I actually grew up knowing my mother and my stepfather. And because I lived more with my mother, so I think it's my mother that has left a lasting impression on me. I know that she did her best. She did her best for a single woman to take care of 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls, on this basic salary then that they were paid. I think at the time I found that it was something like £11. And she supplemented that with trading. Naturally, one learned to associate with the business she was doing and was interested in business. She actually took me to Onitsha market, showed me traders who had degrees, some master's degrees, and were traders. I recall, until today, it strikes me that while we lived in Bori and she was a single mother, I never really saw any man come to the house to say, or she going out with any man, known as boyfriend or whatever. It strikes me. And it was much later I recognized, she even said it, that she needed to remain single and pure in order to ensure that we grew up with the right values. And I thought that was a big sacrifice she made, for us. She taught me, and did my brothers and sisters, never to fight with anybody over money. She, of course, encouraged us to read, not just read academic books, no. At a stage, as a secondary, primary, in the upper primary and the secondary school, I was reading 13 newspapers in a day. She would buy them or collect them from wherever she could and dump them before me and ask me to read.
What about your secondary education?
I actually attended the federal government college, Shekorekpene,
okay.
Now in Akwa Ibom, then in Cross River. That was before the creation of Akwa Ibom State. That in itself is an interesting story because it showed a country that worked.